There's nothing to writing. All you do is sit down at a typewriter and bleed. Welcome to The Bleeders, a podcast and support group about book writing and publishing. I'm writer and podcaster Courtney Kosak, and each week I'll bring you new conversations with authors, agents, and publishers about how to write and sell books. Guess what, Bleeders? Summer school is now in session, and I'm doing something a little different. I am trying to write a freaking book, and it is hard while I'm trying to produce 3 podcasts. So each week, I am going to bring you a mini-sode. Let's call it a flash podcast in literary terms. And it's going to offer a delicious sample or a key lesson from the full conversation with the author or the writer that I had on the show that week. And the full interview is going to be on the newly launched YouTube channel for The Bleeders. That is right. I am going on 40 years old and I am launching a YouTube channel. No shame in my game. The handle on YouTube is @Bleeders Podcast. So you can find the show on youtube.com/@Bleeders Podcast. You have to use the @sign. So again, youtube.com/Bleeders Podcast for the full interview. And without further ado, our instructor for this week is...
Hi, my name is Laura Cathcart Robbins. I am the author of the brand new memoir, Stash My Life in Hiding. I'm also the host of the very popular podcast, The Only One in the Room.
Did you sell it first or did you write the whole thing first?
Yeah, I think that all of this, once I knew that with that final rejection from the agent, she gave me a laundry list of stuff that I might want to look at doing before I went back to an agent. And one of them, she said to me, memoir is the hardest thing to sell because, it doesn't matter how beautifully written it might be. If no one knows who you are, it's just really hard to sell. She also told me that memoir is hard to sell incomplete, that I should come back with a complete manuscript and not just a proposal. These were her suggestions. She talked about building an author's platform and she gave me steps for it. It was an amazing rejection.
That is.
So I took it as a call to action and I started down that list and I started a blog. I started storytelling. I won a moth. I started writing and publishing articles. Like I was doing everything that she said to do. Stash came out of 30 pages in a query I wrote for HarperCollins during the summer of 2020. It was their response to the cultural reckoning that was happening in the world. And they decided to take 30 pages in a query from unagented Black authors for that summer only. I didn't have either. I decided to write them. I submitted them. I got a rejection because it was for fiction only, which I didn't read. I just got excited and read as like what I needed to read, I thought. Anyway, so it was rejected. Going back to Holly Whitaker, I sent her those pages a few months later. She kind of freaked out over them and sent them right to her agent. That was like on a Friday, I sent them to Holly. On Saturday, she freaked out. And on Tuesday, I had a signed contract from her agent.
What?
It went fast and it was based on those 30 pages and that query. The agent then asked me, how quickly can you write this? And that's when I got into that 11/7 pattern and I wrote it in 6 months.
That is an incredible story. So that HarperCollins thing, you needed that.
Yes.
Anyway, even though it wasn't like that thing, it led you to the thing. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right, Bleeders, that was just a little preview. The whole interview is so good and it's over on YouTube. So again, you go to youtube.com/@Bleeders Podcast. That is youtube.com/@Bleeders Podcast for the full conversation. You're going to love it. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of The Bleeders. Oh, writing is so much better with friends. I'm your host, Courtney Kosak, and hey, let's connect on social media. I am @Courtney Kosak, that is Kosak on Twitter and Instagram, and I have all new accounts for the show On Twitter and Instagram, you can follow the show at Bleeders Podcast. And make sure you're signed up for the Bleeders Companion Substack. The link is in the episode description for that. And I would love, love, love if you could leave a rating and review, a 5-star rating and review. I have a goal for the summer to get to 50 ratings on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are currently at 7 on Apple Podcasts and 20 on Spotify as of this recording. And again, I'm trying to get to 50 on both platforms by the end of the summer. You can help me out. It's going to help book even better guests. So please leave a rating and review. I would be eternally grateful. And until next time, happy bleeding.